Good morning, and welcome to another Minority Counterpoint program. This is your hostess, Gwen Blackburn. Well, as always, somebody is always throwing something at me that I'm not expecting, but we do it anyhow. And that's the case today. I have two young men here in the studio with me, and we're going to be talking about something that is happening in Fitchburg, someplace that I don't know anything about. But we're going to hear more about it, and because they're going to tell us about it. But this is about a park that they are in the process of. Are you kind of putting it together? Yeah. Good. You're shaking your head. Yes. Okay. They can't hear you, but it's okay.
Yes. So we're you could say we're in the beginning stages. Yet we have some important pieces already in place.
Okay. All right. And your name is Edwin.
Yes. Edwin Encarnación.
No, that's okay. All right. I'm not going to say that.
Okay.
Encarnación.
Yeah, there you go.
Not too bad.
That was good.
And the other fellow that is in the studio with Edwin is David Thibault-Muñoz. Thibault-Muñoz. Okay. All right. That's the only time I'm going to do that. Mm-hmm. And they're here from Fitchburg. Now, where or how are you connected with the university there, up there, or how?
Well, I work, actually, both Edwin and I work at Mount Wachusett Community College, mm-hmm.
But
the park is going to be developed on land that belongs to Fitchburg State University.
Okay, and let's talk about the park and how you came about this whole idea of having this park built there.
Sure. In the winter of 2017, I went to an event at the Fitchburg Historical Society where mm-hmm. the members were talking about a bell that had been purchased. It was a plantation bell, Southern plantation bell. It was purchased by a man named Benjamin Snow Jr.
Okay.
And the bell was put in a steeple of the Trinitarian Congregational Church, which Benjamin Snow had founded along with other members who broke from the Calvinist Church, who was would not sign a proclamation condemning slavery at the time. And the church had this bell, and Benjamin Snow vowed that the bell would not be rung until every last person in the United States was free.
Oh,
so
interesting.
From that, I had that in the back of my mind as I was developing my summer first-year experience course, and I had assigned my students to read Frederick Douglass's narrative. And part of the class was to research this history of abolition in Fitchburg, and also to look at the neighborhood. My background is in community organizing, so and I live downtown, and so I wanted them to take a look at vacant properties in the area, and through both of those conversations, the student come up with this idea of creating a park to commemorate Benjamin Snow Jr., who is the vice president of the American Anti-Slavery Society in Massachusetts, had founded a chapter of American Anti-Slavery in Fitchburg called the Worcester North Chapter, and who was very close with people like Frederick Douglass and William Lloyd Garrison and others in the Abolitionist Movement.
That's very interesting. And then you, Edwin, how did you get involved, should I say?
So David and I knew each other from our work at Mount Wachusett and through just personal dealings. And so he reached out to me when the students were bringing this project in front of the city council to offer support. And so that's when I became aware of the project. He sent me some information. I read up on it. And I was very, very surprised that Fitchburg had actually been a resident of over 20 years in the city of Fitchburg.
Yeah.
Was surprised that Fitchburg had such a rich abolitionist history. And so, I was very excited, and I was one of the people that evening that spoke in favor of building the park in Fitchburg.
Oh, that's wonderful. how large, I have to ask you, how large is Fitchburg? Do you have any idea? I mean...
Fitchburg is a population of 40,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's small.
It's a small city.
Yeah.
It's a third largest city in the county, in Worcester County. But compared to other cities, I guess you could say it's small.
Yeah, it is small.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So let's talk about this park. I mean, I'm looking at these papers that was sent to me, and I would just like to now know a little more about this. This Benjamin Snow and his abolitionist movement or role or whatever. Sure. Talk to us.
I can tell you a little bit more about the history. So I mentioned he founded the Trinitarian Congregational Church. That church was actually a chapter of the American Anti-Slavery Society and was dissolved shortly after emancipation.
Oh.
The Benjamin Snow also, who was a mill owner and a city councilor at one time, he also founded a organization called the Fitchburg Athenaeum. And the Fitchburg Athenaeum brought many abolitionist speakers to Fitchburg, including Henry David Thoreau and Lucy Stone and Ralph Waldo Emerson. The Fitchburg Athenaeum was located in the city hall, and actually the books that were there were donated as the first books of the Fitchburg Public Library. The Fitchburg Athenaeum brought the play that was written by Solomon Northup, which is the person who is featured in the movie 12 Years a Slave.
Oh, okay.
Solomon Northup wrote this play after he was freed. That basically talked about his experience while enslaved and about his experience being kidnapped from upstate New York. He actually was at Fitchburg City Hall greeting people at the door in 1850.
Okay.
As part of this, it was brought by this group, the Fitchburg Athenaeum. So it's pretty amazing history. Benjamin Snow, his home was a depot on the Underground Railroad. And two people that are pretty prominent in American history that stayed there or sought out help from Benjamin Snow were Josiah Henson, who is the person that the character Uncle Tom is based on in Harriet Beecher Stowe's book.
Okay.
Josiah Henson came to Benjamin Snow's house twice while raising money to buy his freedom. Shadrach Minkins, the other person who is a prominent name in American history, was the first person arrested under the Fugitive Slave Act. Was actually, it's a great story. He was kidnapped by a black abolitionist in Boston, brought to Concord to one abolitionist's home, then brought to Leominster by a woman named Frances Drake, who was an abolitionist there. Mm-hmm. Leominster is our twin city. And then was brought to Benjamin Snow's house in Fitchburg. And he was dressed as a woman and brought to West Fitchburg, then Ashburnham, and then sent on a train to Vermont, and then crossed Lake Champlain, waited for it to freeze, crossed Lake Champlain into to his freedom in Canada in that period of time.
Wow. Well, you have a lot of history there. And so now we're on the radio. What would you like for people to know? How can they help you on this project that you have for the park?
So, we honestly could use all the help we could get, whether it's monetary donations, volunteering their time, providing ideas for how we could, donate, or I should say raise funds for this effort. We're actually putting our website together, which by the time this show airs, will be live. Mm-hmm. The website is www.abolitionistpark.org. Mm-hmm. They will be able to go to that site and get all this history that David just spoke about. They'll be able to read up on it. they'll be able to join our mailing list to stay updated on everything we're doing, and also take advantage of opportunities to help us either raise funds or just get the lot ready, or even build the park itself. We'll have, once the website is live, then people have opportunities to engage in activities that are going to help the park become reality. When
you say build the park, what do you have to do to build a park? I don't know.
Sure. So we have to, clean the lot. We have to clear trees. We are going to hire actual contractors to do a lot of, obviously, that professional work.
Okay.
But in some cases, it might be as simple as just doing, cleaning up the lot, especially after winter time, things of that nature. That's what that usually entails.
Okay.
So specifically right now, we've already had some volunteers come out and cut some trees down. We need to remove some stumps that are there and level and grade the lot to make it handicap accessible. We've also then we'll spray some hydro seed. We plan to plant apple trees in commemoration of Benjamin Snow's property, which had an apple orchard at the time. We also plan to put in a brick walkway, which will be raising funds through that, selling the bricks, large and small bricks, depending on the donor and whether or not they're a person or a corporation or a not-for-profit. We are also going to, that's phase 1 and 2.
Okay.
We're also going to install a stage, a mini stage, so we can do reenactments at some point, as well as fencing around the lot. And eventually we'll have an interactive board that will be connected to a phone application where people can hover their picture hover their camera over a picture, and the picture will begin to speak and tell the story about who the people are and how they're connected to Fitchburg.
Wow.
One of the also sort of long-term and ambitious projects we have is this bell that David mentioned at the beginning, which Benjamin Snow acquired, which was used to call slaves to, from the plantations to come eat and send them back out. And Benjamin Snow acquired that bell, and he said it would never be wrong until everyone was free. That bell actually sits at a church in Ayer, Massachusetts right now. And so we are making an effort to try to acquire that bell and have it sit at the park. That's in the very early stages, the project of acquiring the bell, but it's something that I'm confident we'll be able to do for people to be able to, interact with that piece of history.
And how can people get in touch? I just want to make sure we get that. And how can people get in touch with you if they want to, help you? I mean, work or money or whatever.
Well, anyone could call me. I can give you my cell phone number. It's 508-404-4365. I'm David. And we're also going to have an email, which is attached to the website. Do you remember?
Yeah, so the email we're going to have available for people is going to be info@abolitionistpark.org. They'll be able to email us directly there. And again, if they go to the website, www.abolitionistpark.org, they will be able to then get in touch with us either by email, a contact form they'll be able to fill out as well. And we'll be able to, get their information or whatever it is that they're trying to get to us.
And can you use more help from people who are out there listening? And I can understand for sure that, from what I've heard, that people are going to want to get involved and they're going to want to help you. So is that okay if they contact you? Well, you've given out your telephone number,
yes,
so
definitely.
I guess so.
There are many ways that people can help. So far, most of the work that's been done has been done pro bono.
Yes.
So we're looking for anybody who has those, contractor experience, or we're looking for artists eventually to create art pieces reflective of this abolitionist history. We're looking for just people who can lend their time and expertise. We have people, for example, on our board that have experience with web development and so on.
Right.
So we're always looking for people who can contribute in any way, and we're always open. Our process is open. It's a community process. So we welcome people onto the board of directors
Okay.
as we go forward and people
Right.
maybe step off or
Yep.
and we also have open meetings. Anyone can attend. We have 4 subcommittees of the board that are community committees. One of them is the Park Vision, which is going to be ongoing, a fundraising committee, a marketing committee, and historical accuracy. So for people who are interested in doing that research and helping us to make sure we're adequately representing that history, there's a way for people to plug in there too.
That's good. I mean, there's a lot of ways that people can. Let me just take a moment to tell our listeners that you are tuned to Minority Counterpoint. We are having a wonderful, informative today. It's very informative. I would not have heard about it except that somebody that works with me told about it and then sent the information. So it's about this park that is going to be built in Fitchburg. And if I find a paper, I will be able to tell you more about it. I've got a lot of papers here, but I do know that one of the young men is Edwin, and the other one, well, I say young, not all that young. The other one is David, and they're working on this park that they're going to be building, and that's what they're telling us about today, so that our listeners will know about it up there in Fitchburg. I don't know where Fitchburg is, but I don't think it's too far, and it sounds like something that we need to know more about. Something that you mentioned. Well, let me take a break and tell our listeners again, you are tuned to Minority Counterpoint, and we are getting some new information. So stay tuned, and we're going to come right back. Back to Minority Counterpoint. Now, this is interesting today because I didn't even know we were going to be doing this today, but I'm glad. I'm glad that it's happening. We are talking about, I'm talking with 2 young men, well, kind of young anyhow, from Fitchburg. And I don't know much about, or I don't know anything about Fitchburg, but they're telling us David
Thibault-Muñoz.
Thibault, I'm not going to say it all. And the other one is Edwin. Oh, no.
Encarnación.
What? Say it again?
Encarnación.
Encarnación. Okay.
There you go. You got it.
Almost got it. Okay. And they have this project that they're working on to build this park in Fitchburg. And they need help. Am I right?
Yes.
They need help. It's going to happen, but they need help. So anybody in our listening audience today that they think that what they're talking about is something they want to get involved in, need to get in touch with either David or Edwin. And you gave a number out already. Yeah.
Sure, that's me, David. My number is 508-404-4365, and that's we're trying to create a park dedicated to Abolitionist Movement and Fitchburg's role in that.
And because I was looking here, I wrote down something about New Bedford abolitionists. So do they have a park, or are they doing something similar to what you're doing? Or
it seems like they're doing something similar to what we're doing. So which is great synergy, right? And it's something to be said for the fact that we're doing these projects, around the same time. So we're going to be looking to in some way, reach out and see how we can, help each other and coordinate some efforts, perhaps.
One of the connections, just to be clear, we just found out about this yesterday, about the New Bedford group.
Okay.
But one of the connections is Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass lived in New Bedford, but Frederick Douglass is a friend of William Lloyd Garrison and of Benjamin Snow Jr., Vice President of Massachusetts American Anti-Slavery Society. Visited Fitchburg about 3 or 4 times to speak at anti-slavery conventions in Fitchburg.
Yeah, what's so good about you coming on Minority Counterpoint this week is that this is Black History Month. And so it just kind of fits in here. So I'm glad that we were able to get you on to talk about it. Now, what else do you need people out there to know, and how that they can also help?
So, I mean, I just like to say, as a resident of Fitchburg, which is a very welcoming city, a multicultural city. If you want to be involved in a project that is, that is meaningful, that is transcendental, this is a great project to be involved with. We can certainly use your help in the way of monetary donations, or, as David mentioned before, skill sets that you may have that are going to help us get this park built. We have no doubt that is going to happen, and I think it's a great thing for as many people as possible to be involved, considering the historical significance of what we're trying to do.
And it is going to happen.
Yes.
Because you two have a lot of oomph here.
Yes.
So it is going to happen. And what were you getting ready to say, David?
So just a few things.
Yes.
We are at the point of, where we've done some pre-development work. The total cost of this project, this development of this park, is going to be about $200,000, and that doesn't include if we had pro bono labor. Maybe it will be less. If we had more donations, it will help with the process. We've applied for a few grants, but we've up until this point mostly been funded by individual donors, and so we're always looking for help there. The other thing I'll say is just to kind of be clear about this lot, this 10,000 square foot lot, which is at 42 to 50 Snow Street, belongs to Fitchburg State University. But Fitchburg State University is only allowing us to raise the money and to develop the park. And at the end, our memorandum of understanding with Fitchburg State is that they will help us maintain it, which is a great asset to us. I think that was one of the concerns when we were going before the city council, was who's going to maintain this, that they felt like their parks were going to be overwhelmed. But this is going to be maintained as part of Fitchburg State's portfolio of properties throughout the neighborhood.
So what kind of things have to happen at this area that you have that's going to be a park? It's not a park yet, right? Mm-hmm. So what kind of things? I mean, is it an area that has to be cleaned off, or what really has to happen?
So there are different phases that we've identified that need to happen as we develop the space. Grading the lot would be part of that process. Building a fence needs to happen. Building a walkway also needs to happen. Putting a flagpole, installing lights, because from the very beginning we like the area to be well lit, and to be safe. As we continue to then augment the space, as David mentioned before, installing benches, planting trees, and building a mini stage where we could hold different kinds of cultural activities and activities that celebrate freedom, reenactments of sorts and things of that nature. So we are taking a sort of a measured approach in phases. Yes. But the first things is literally just grading the lot and building a path or a walkway, adding a flagpole and installing lights and a fence as well.
Okay.
We also want to there is was an existing support wall because the property used to have a home on it.
Oh.
But the support wall is in disrepair. And as I'm sure it's the case in most cities, when there's a vacant lot after a building's been torn down, the city puts these granite curbing blocks to block people from parking there. We'd like to turn those granite curbing into granite support wall in the front, but we need someone with the equipment. I think it's a diamond cutting blade that can cut into granite to make a nice, beautiful support wall in the front, which would be where the entrance to the park is. So that's something we could definitely use too. If there's anyone out there who is a contractor that has that equipment.
Yes. Yeah. Right. Maybe so. So have we touched on almost everything that you are trying to accomplish right now? You can always come back a little later on as things move along. But have we touched on almost everything that we need to get out to people, our listeners?
Yeah, I think that we've we've talked a lot about the development, where we're at, and the history. I do want to give a shout out to my students, about 60 students who had their hands on this project, either doing the research or presenting, and probably another 60 community residents who are not students who participated in advocating for this park. So I do want to give a shout out to those folks.
Yeah, just also to the board members who take their time to and donate their skills to get the project to where it's at right now. As you all know, fundraising can be a tough thing to pull off, and to have the project be at this stage with the initial opposition that it's faced. I think it's it's taking the effort of everyone involved, and that's very much appreciated.
Sounds good, and David has something else to add.
Just one more thing.
Yes.
In Fitchburg, I grew up in Fitchburg.
Yes.
And there aren't many things that are commemorated in terms of the history of Fitchburg. And I know Edwin mentioned he didn't know about this history. I'd say virtually everyone that myself or my students or the people on the board have spoken to, almost everyone, did not know about this history of the abolitionist movement's connection to Fitchburg. Fitchburg is a city. It's just tell you a little bit about Fitchburg. Fitchburg was a industrial giant at one time. The population's been about 40,000 people, but there were a lot of jobs at one time. Over time, I think it's important to honor moments like this. Abolitionist movement, which basically went from the 1830s through the end of slavery in the United States, just so that people can feel like there's something historically to kind of connect to and be proud of.
Yes.
Currently, the only monuments in Fitchburg are monuments to war, and it's a little bit of a spin, but people, we talk about patriotism, right? And,
yes.
Fighting for the rights of people and fighting for freedom, but at the end of the day, that's what abolitionists did. Abolitionists put their lives on the line for the cause of freedom, and we want to be that exception. We have our Civil War memorial. We have a Spanish-American War memorial.
Okay.
We've got a Vietnam War memorial, Korean War memorial, but there is no park or any kind of monument dedicated to the abolitionist movement.
And so there will be one there. There will be a lot of things there. If our listeners want to get involved again, they can contact you how? Say it again.
So I'll plug the website again. It's www.abolitionistpark.org. And David?
And my phone number is 508-404-4365.
Well, this has been very enlightening, and I'm so happy that you were able to come on Minority Counterpoint and get this word out, and we'll make sure that you get back on again as you move along so that people will know and know how to help you. Okay?
Thank you so much for having us.
Yes, it's been my pleasure. I invite you, as always, to write to me. Send me a letter, if you like. Gwen Blackburn at 1 Cabot Road, Suite 320 in Medford, 02155. Or join me on Facebook at my fan page, facebook.com, Minority Counterpoint. Or join the conversation on Twitter at Gwen Blackburn 5. And until next Sunday, have a blessed week.